Hi, everyone. It's Jane McLeod, fans of the framework here Friday, October, Friday, October 11th. So, as you can see, I'm in a library. I'm traveling today and stopped in Big Rapids, Michigan, the home of Ferris State University, which used to be Ferris State College, which Inkly Dinkly is the place where Sue and I both got our associate degrees in nursing back in the day. So, taking a little walk down memory lane, have stopped at this community library where they so generously gave me this room to work in and filled with the Dewey Decimal System. So, obviously, they don't use this room now much. So, it's cool. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about how to be an influencer. And I love this thought of comparing your leadership and three really important emotional intelligence tactics that you can work on, most specifically, influence, innovation, inspiration, the three I's, if you will. And, leadership is all about, growing ourselves as people. And if you hold a leadership role, then you always want to strive to be better, right? So how are you going to make yourself be better? Consider things you do really, really, really well, and then just add to them. So I'm not asking you to become more influential and a better influencer by, like starting over something. I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can just add some things, two little tactics that if you do, that they will help you to be a better influencer. So when I talk about it, leadership is as nourishing for our departments and nourishing for ourselves. Great leadership is nourishing for our souls, as a healthy plate is nourishing for our body. Let's compare the three I's to what you have on your plate. So I think of influence as the vegetables. It's supposed to take up most of our plate. And if we do influence really, really well, we're leading others to be leaders. A true influencer really leads others to lead themselves, not to hold leadership roles or the titles, the formal title of a leader, but to help you lead by leading themselves. That medium-sized portion of protein that fits in the palm of your hand, healthy protein that's on your plate. Protein is the building block of our body. We call on protein when we need strength, when we need stamina, right? And that's innovation. Because our organizations are calling us to be innovators. Guess what, people? We got enough robots. We got enough AI. We got enough technology. We're surrounded and overwhelmed by it. So we need our brains, our healthy brains filled with great protein, to be innovative. And so caring for yourself, nourishing yourself with innovation, but to get there, you got to know how to do it. That's next week. And then week 3 is inspiration. So I call this the healthy grain on your plate. Maybe you don't have grain at every meal. Maybe you have some not so healthy grains. But let's say the healthy grain that's sprinkled throughout your nourishing plate and your leadership is inspiration. If you're continuously inspirational all the time in large doses, just like the vegetables on your plate, which is influence, then you're like an overwhelming keynote speaker, and no one leader can be a keynote speaker all the time. Like nobody can be on like that. So that's what you're going to sprinkle through your leadership. That's week 3. So let's talk week 1 today. And I'd like to open with a quote by Leslie Stephen. And Leslie says, the best way to influence another is to encourage him or her to think for themselves instead of already placing ready-made opinions in their heads. The best way to influence another is to encourage him or her to think for themselves instead of placing ready-made opinions in their head. So we have this fast-paced world filled with technology, filled with software that does things for us. And, we're barely able to keep up, much less stop and consider the human being in front of you that needs to be influenced or needs to be led to determining their own purpose and their own role and how they can think for themselves. Sometimes it's just easier to do things for people or to lead them to that ready-made opinion because you've already given it a lot of thought. Why don't they just jump on board with you? Au contraire, because you're not micromanagers. You're influential leaders. All right, you're influential leaders. So think about who influenced you in your life and the reason why. Was it someone who coached you, had patience with you, showed you your strengths, showed you appreciation for your strengths, took the time to explain something in your role in it? Was it a teacher? Was it a coach? Was it a loving grandparent? A leader who did this for you? Don't you want to be that person, the influencer for you? And we all have people who influence their lives, but don't you want to be that person instead of the diehard leader pushes through everybody else and just says, this is the way we're doing things, and I'm so glad you all agree with my opinion, right? No. So a leader's influence isn't about getting them to follow you to a shared vision. It's about helping them to adopt your vision as their own. It's not about leading people to a shared vision, even though a lot of research will tell us that's what actually leadership is. But influencers get others to adopt the vision as their own because they understand their role in it, right? So we're going to give them the sense or demonstrate that we appreciate and we believe in them. How do you do it? So John Maxwell says, and I am not one to argue with Mr. Maxwell, but I think he might be wrong on this. He says, if you can't influence people, they won't follow you. And if people aren't following you, you're not actually a leader. It's called the law of influence. And I just think he's half right, because influence is not selling and not persuasion. You're not selling someone and you're like, hey, rah, rah, cheerlead. Although there's a lot of cheerleading, a lot of perseverance that goes into leadership. I'm talking about eating your vegetables on your plate here for lunch, right? Influence is different than selling and different than persuasion. So what I'd like you to think about is you probably already do two things. If you're watching this today, you're probably a very grateful leader who tries to show gratitude, appreciation, recognition, and celebration in their day. And you probably already have a great tactic to do mid-year performance conversations and performance evaluation, some sort of performance management program. So add two things to those two items. When you're doing your employees either mid-year performance conversation, and if you don't do that, we strongly suggest that you do a check-in mid-year so nobody's surprised, and make it like very personal to the person instead of what the Joint Commission needs, okay? But if you're doing just a straight up annual evaluation, here we are in the last quarter of the year, everybody's probably taking time to do an annual evaluation in their performance management program. How can you be more influential when you have that conversation with someone? And you can do that by, talking to them about where the organization is going, where their specific department is going, the things that need to be achieved in the upcoming year, and asking them how they can set a personal goal that's in alignment with the goal that the department or the organization needs to set for them. How can they do that? What role can they play? What really excites you? What's your favorite part about work? Right? What personal passions do you bring to work that can really help us here? And when one of your employees says something that they are embarrassed about or they feel is minor, I've always wanted to redo our service board, Jane. It's like super ugly. Like, I'm a scrapbooker and I don't want to hurt your feelings, but your communication boards are just like offensive? Like, no. If you can make it so that it's organized and well thought out and you'll keep it up for me on a weekly basis or even a monthly basis, more people will look at it and you're going to help us and connect the dots for them and what their purpose and their role is. Then show appreciation, right? Show care and appreciation. And the other thing, demonstrate belief in people. Maybe they don't see a role. Maybe they've always wanted to do something, but like a national certification, and you'll pay for it, but they've never thought that they could. It's too hard. No, I believe in you. You've been in this field for 30 years, 10 years, 8 years. I believe in you. I believe you can do that. You are really, really smart. And P.S., the smartest person in the world just joined. Hello, Becca Elkhorn. So the other way that you can be an influencer is to demonstrate more appreciation than recognition. Remember, we've taught you this, that the difference between appreciation and recognition is usually from a leader down. Recognition is usually for a single event. I saw you do that. I thank you so much for doing that. You helped someone get in their car. You went above and beyond. You picked up an extra shift. And when you recognize someone, you're hoping that they repeat that behavior. But remember, we recognize people for 30 years of service, even if they're just standing upright and have a pulse, right? So appreciation is really, really considering what is their human qualities that they bring to work every day that you appreciate about them so very much. What is it? And maybe you don't know what that is. Maybe you need to really dig deep and find out what that is about that person that you can demonstrate appreciation for. The tactics might be the same. It might be writing a thank you note, but be very specific what you're thanking them for. You show up to work every day with a get her done attitude, no matter census, acuity, snow, sleet, or rain. You are here, you are positive, and you sprinkle your positivity. The light in you shines on the light in everybody else, right? Or I appreciate your genius ideas during our staff meetings. Like, you seem to come up, what do you eat before them? Because you seem to come up with things that nobody else does. I love that about you. I appreciate it so much, right? Demonstrate belief in people, demonstrate appreciation for them. And that's what makes you an influencer, not your ability to sell something and not your ability to persuade others. Instead, demonstrate appreciation and they will follow, right? They will follow. All right, call to action. People, our summits are closed for 2019. The one in Hayward is completely chock full, standing room only. And we just ended Eaton Rapids yesterday. Karen Stockton and I did, with a fabulous, over-the-top, amazing group of rockstar leaders. And so if you would love to attend a Capstone Leadership Summit, they're listed on our training pages on our website, www.capstoneleadership.net. What's also listed there is a link to our greatness course. It's right on the homepage. If you want to be an influencer, if you want to be innovative, if you want to be inspirational and you want to find out more how, get one-on-one coaching from Sue and I to really rock the results in your specific department. We're there for you. It's modules over 9 months that you can do at your own pace. And we have special pricing for you in your organization. So join us there. Don't forget, next week, talking about innovation. Go be influential.